Keith Matthew Thornton, born October 7, 1963, better known by his stage name Kool Keith, is an American rapper and record producer from the Bronx, New York City, known for his surreal, abstract, and often profane or incomprehensible lyrics. Kool Keith has recorded prolifically both as a solo artist and in group collaborations. Kool Keith is generally considered to be one of hip-hop's most eccentric and unusual personalities. Kool Keith was a co-founding member of Ultramagnetic MCs, whose debut Critical Beatdown was released in 1988. After two more albums with the group, Funk Your Head Up and The Four Horsemen, Kool Keith released his critically acclaimed solo debut album, Dr. Octagon Ecologist, under the name Dr. Octagon in 1996. He subsequently released a series of further independently released hip-hop albums, including Sex Style, First Come, First Served, as Dr. Dumb, and most recently Keith. After releasing only one album on a major label, Black Elvis / Lost in Space, Kool Keith subsequently returned to independently releasing music, producing further efforts as a solo artist and in collaboration with groups such as Analog Brothers, Masters of Illusion, The Undertakers, and Project Polaroid. Kool Keith has also made guest appearances in collaboration with Peeping Tom and Yeah Yeah Yeahs. He was also featured on the short track DDT on Jurassic 5's album Power in Numbers. The Prodigy's hit Smack My Bitch Up was based on a sample of Kool Keith's voice saying "Change my pitch up." Smack My Bitch Up on Give the Drummer Some by Ultramagnetic MCs. History: Ultramagnetic MCs, 1984 to 1993. Thornton began his career with the group Ultramagnetic MCs under the pseudonym Kool Keith in 1984. For years later, their release of the album Critical Beatdown was critically acclaimed and later became recognized as widely influential for its innovative production, complex rhymes, and chopped sampling. Just after its release, Thornton was reportedly institutionalized in Bellevue Hospital Center. However, he later said that the idea that he was institutionalized came from a flippant remark made during an interview, and he never expected the story to become so well known. Ultramagnetic MCs would release two more albums, 1992's Funk Your Head Up and 1993's The Four Horsemen, with little commercial success due to West Coast hip-hop's changing landscape. They went on hiatus for years, leading Thornton to embark on a solo career. Dr. Octagon debuts, 1995 to 1996. Thornton released his first notable solo single, Earth People, in 1995, under the name Dr. Octagon. This was followed by the release of the concept album Dr. Octagon Ecologist the following year. The album's production by Dan the Automator and Kootmaster Kurt, with scratching by DJ Bert, was acclaimed by critics, and the album was released nationally by DreamWorks Records in 1997, after an initial release on the smaller Bulk Recordings label, as, simply, Dr. Octagon, a year prior. Dr. Octagon Ecologist was considered a departure from old-school hip-hop to abstract hip-hop, with surrealistic, horror, science fiction, and sexual themes. DreamWorks also issued an instrumental version of the album, titled Instrumentalist, Octagon Beats. Further releases, 1996 to 2001. In 1996, Thornton collaborated with Tim Dog for the single The Industry Is Whack, performing under the name Ultra. The album Big Time soon followed. The following year, Thornton followed the release of the sophomore album, Sex Style, under the name Kool Keith. Being a dirty rap concept album, Thornton described it as pornocore, filled with sexual metaphors to diss other rappers. An instrumental version was also released. This year, a collaborative album with Godfather Don titled Cenobites was released as an LP. In 1999, he released the album First Come, First Served under the name Dr. Dumb, in which the album's main character killed off Dr. Octagon on the album's opening track. The same year, on August 10, 1999, Thornton released Black Elvis / Lost in Space under the major record labels Rough House and Columbia. It peaked at number 10 on the Billboard Heatseekers chart, number 74 on the top R&B / hip-hop albums chart, and number 180 on the Billboard 200. Despite standing out as Thornton's most commercially successful project to date, he was disappointed with the album's delays and promotional efforts, even though a promotional video was made for the lead single, Livin' Astro, which aired on a few episodes of the MTV show AMP in early 2000. Its sequel, Black Elvis 2, was released in 2023. On June 5, 2001, Thornton released the album Spankmaster on TVT and got home records. It peaked at number 16 on the Billboard Heatseekers chart, number 11 on the Top Independent Albums chart, and number 48 on the Top R&B/Hip Hop Albums chart. The album has yet to be on streaming. Collaborations, 2000 to 2004. On July 25, 2000, Thornton released the album Matthew. It peaked at number 47 on the Billboard Heatseekers chart. The following month, Thornton collaborated with Ice-T, Mark Liv, Black Silver and Pimp Rex for the album Pimp to Eat, under the group name Analog Brothers, with Keith performing as Keith Korg and Ice-T as Ice Oscillator. The album was re-released by Mellow Music Group on streaming, CD, and LP in 2016. Masters of Illusion, a collaboration with Cutmaster Kurt and Motion Man, followed a few months later. Thornton, Mark Liv, and H-Bomb formed the group KHM, releasing the album Game on November 19, 2002. They later changed their name to Claiborne Family by the release of their second album 2 years later. During the same year, 2004, that Claiborne Family was released in Kool Keith Presents The Undertakers, with Reverend Tom, Kool Keith, Al Barriou, Big No Name, Embalmer, and The Funeral Director, and Diesel Truckers, another collaboration with Cutmaster Kurt. Second Dr. Octagon album, 2002 to 2004. In 2002, Thornton began recording the resurrection of Dr. Octagon with producer Fanatic J, signing a contract with CMH Records to release the album, which was eventually completed without much input from Thornton, due to a falling out over contractual terms. On October 12, 2004, Real Talk Entertainment issued the album Dr. Octagon Part 2. The album was discontinued by court order, citation needed. On June 27, The Return of Dr. Octagon was released by OCD International, an imprint of CMH, advertised as the official follow-up to Dr. Octagon Ecologist. Some critics felt that it was not as good as its predecessor. Thornton stated that he liked the album, but felt that it hurt his reputation as a musician. In August, Thornton performed under the Dr. Octagon billing, but did not acknowledge the release of the OCD album. Further collaborations and solo albums, 2006-present. On April 25, 2006, Thornton released the album No Gatco Road under the name Mr. No Gatco, and Project Polaroid, a collaboration with Tom C3. The Return of Dr. Octagon, the sequel to Dr. Octagon Ecologist, was released 2 months later, as well as a Dr. Doom sequel titled Dr. Doom 2 being released 2 years later. In 2007, Ultramagnetic MCs released the reunion album The Best Kept Secret. In 2009, Kool Keith released the concept album Tash and Dorset, a follow-up, The Legend of Tash and Dorset, followed 2 years later. In 2012, Kool Keith performed at the Gathering of the Juggalos. He has stated that he is considering retiring from music. In 2013, Keith appeared as Dr. Octagon on the Yeah Yeah Yeahs song Buried Alive, from their album Mosquito. In 2015, Keith released Time? Astonishing, with producer Lorange, and began the start of his relationship with Mellow Music Group. Since then, Keith also reissued his group album with the Analog Brothers, Ice-T, Pimp Rex, Mark Liv, Silver Synth, Pimp to Eat, with Mellow Music. Kool Keith's recent solo album Feature Magnetic was dropped on September 16, 2016, and it features MF Doom, Slug from Atmosphere, Dirt Nasty, and many others. Artwork for the Feature Magnetic album was produced by Mark Santo. In 2018, Keith collaborated once again with Dan the Automator and DJ Bert for another Dr. Octagon album Moose Bumps. An exploration into modern-day horripilation was released on streaming services on April 6, 2018, with the physical release scheduled for Record Store Day, April 21, 2018. The Record Store Day release includes both vinyl and CD copies. Using his Deltron persona, Del the Funky Homo Sapien guests on 3030 Meets the Doc, PT1. NPR offered a first look at the album on March 29, 2018. Kool Keith appears on Western by the bluegrass rap group Gangsta Grass, performing as himself. Throughout 5 years, Thornton released Controller of Trap, Keith, Computer Technology, Sax Fifth Avenue, Space Gore-Tex, with The Tan, Keith's Salon, Subatomic, with Del the Funky Homo Sapien, Serpent, with Real Bad Man, and Black Elvis 2. Thornton's fan site refers to his discography of roughly 50 album releases, most of which have been commercially released. Singles such as Spectrum continue to appear online under the artist's name on sites such as SoundCloud and Spotify. Lyrical and performance style. Kool Keith performing at Mezzanine in San Francisco, California during the 2009 Noise Pop Festival. Thornton's lyrics are often abstract, surreal, and filled with non sequiturs and profane humor. For example, Technical Difficulties, from the album Dr. Octagon Ecologist, contains the following lyrics: intestines, investments, hide money in your stomach / who can stop Pepto-Bismol? Only a gremlin eaten in Larry Parker like Gizmo. Thornton is also known for an explicit style focusing on sexual themes, which Thornton has referred to as pornocore. In a 2007 interview, Thornton claims to have invented horrorcore. Alter egos. Kool Keith is known for his many alter egos. As of 2012, Kool Keith had at least 58 such alter egos. These include well-known aliases such as Dr. Octagon, Dr. Dumb, and Black Elvis, which appeared on albums bearing their names, and the more obscure, such as Firearms Dealer Crazy Lou and Exatron Geiger Counter 1 plus Megatron, as he introduced himself in an appearance on Marley Marl's radio show In Control. Some of Kool Keith's monikers have only existed on album artwork, such as Mr. Green and Elvin Presley. In reference to his relationship between himself and his various stage personalities, Keith has said, "I don't even feel like I'm a human being anymore."